Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm delighted to welcome you here to Middle Temple, either in person or online, for this very important event. We are delighted you've been able to come and join us to mark this very significant day in our students' lives and to celebrate their achievement in being called to the bar. My name is Christopher Geeker. I'm the Under-Treasurer and the Chief Executive of Middle Temple, and I run the inn on a day-to-day basis. I'm the 40th person to have had this job since the first recorded appointment in 1524. That perhaps tells you something about the age of the inn and its very long history. One of the elements of the inn of which we are proudest is, of course, the four walls which are surrounding us today. It is Middle Temple Hall. It was begun in 1562 and has been in use since 1570. It replaced a previous Knights Templar building and is one of the finest Elizabethan halls in the world. It has a very long history, but it is not a historical relic or a museum. Rather, it's very much a living space, and in many ways, the heart of the inn. It's used by our judges, barristers, new practitioners, and of course, our students. They come here for lunches, dinners, lectures, performances, social events, and ceremonial events such as this one. Over the centuries, this wonderful hall has been the venue for feasts and dances, concerts and plays. The first performance of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night took place in this very room in 1602, and Shakespeare was present. The hall has survived riots, the plague, and the English Civil War, when the inn itself was divided between royalists and parliamentarians. And unlike other areas of the temple, the hall survived the Blitz of the Second World War as well, but only just. A bomb blasted a great hole in the east end gable, reducing that beautiful carved wooden screen to smithereens. Happily, it was restored after the war, and our hall remains virtually unchanged ever since. Since medieval times, lectures or readings have been delivered from a table such as this one. This table, which is known as the cupboard, and on which the students will sign their names in the call book, is taken from a hatch cover on Francis Drake's ship, the Golden Hind, in which he circumnavigated the globe between 1577 and 1580. In more recent times, the inn has received gifts from benchers. The silver inkstand you can see in front of the call book on the cupboard was given to Middle Temple 88 years ago by Helena Normanton, the first woman admitted to the inn, and it was dedicated to the memory of His Majesty King George V, in whose reign the English bar was opened to women. When the students sign their name in the call book shortly, they will be following many generations of Middle Templars who have preceded them since the 14th century. Members of the judiciary, such as Lord Burnet, the last Lord Chief Justice, Lord Phillips, Lady Scotland, Lady Thirlwall, and the late Lord Judge, but not just lawyers. People such as Walter Raleigh, Henry Fielding, and Charles Dickens, as well as Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, Diana, Prince of Wales, and our current Royal Bencher, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, who was called in 2009. It's a rich tradition and a very distinguished line of individuals who have come through this hall, to which, of course, today we add all the students who are about to be called to the bar and have achieved this distinction in their own right. To all of you here today, you have shown real dedication to your professional futures at the bar. Many of you will have juggled jobs and competing commitments to family, friends, work, and study. You will have forgotten what free time feels like. You may even have forgotten what your loved ones look like. They might have forgotten what you look like. But you are all here today, and they are proud of what you have accomplished. I would also add that we here at Middle Temple are also very proud of you and your achievement. If you haven't already started to think of this as your professional home, I hope you'll do so in the future as you develop your careers. Now, before we begin, I'd like to introduce you to some of the individuals that you will meet today and their roles. First of all, the Masters of the Bench, or the Benchers as they are known, are the senior members of the inn who make up the governing body. You will have met some of them, and many will have been involved in the training of the students. And they've all been through what the students are about to go through this afternoon. Then there's the reader, Lord Mance. In the earliest days of the inn, Master Reader used to deliver law lectures here in this hall to Middle Temple students. At one time, the reader used to have sole authority to call students to the bar. Today, he will be presenting the students for their degrees. Last but not least is the treasurer of the inn, the Right Honourable Lady Justice Thirlwall. The treasurer will admit students to their degrees today. The coats of arms, which you can see displayed around the hall and in the corridors leading to it, are those of past treasurers and readers. So that is the cast, but you are an important part of the production, which is why I'd like to explain a little about the sequence of events in the call ceremony that we're all about to witness. In a few minutes, the Masters of the Bench will process into hall through the door on my right, your left. Not all of them, there are several hundred. At this point, we would ask you to stand if you're able to do so. You'll then be invited to be seated when the benches have taken their places on the chairs behind me. The reader will then open the ceremony, and then each student will be called to the bar one by one. Today, we have 63 students being called, 57 in person and 6 online. Although we're here to recognize their achievements, if we paused to applaud each and every one, we'd probably be here for about as long as it takes to complete the entire bar course. So I hope you'll understand if I ask you to refrain from clapping until all the students have been called. And then at the end of the ceremony, we can applaud them all together. Following the presentation of the students, the Treasurer will then give a short address. Finally, to close the ceremony, we will signal that you should stand again if you're able to do so, as the benchers process out of the hall through the door through which they entered. A couple of very important points. Please note that no photographs or filming should be taken during the ceremony. You may, of course, take photographs afterwards, and a professional photographer will be on hand to take formal call day photographs. Finally, may I remind you that Middle Temple Hall was completed in 1573, so many hundred years before the advent of the mobile phone. Once again, I'd like to express how very proud we are of our qualifying students today and how delighted we are that you're with us to mark this special occasion in the passage of their professional lives. I hope you thoroughly enjoy the rest of the day. The Treasurer, the benchers, and I look forward to meeting as many of you as possible afterwards. Thank you very much.
Please be seated. Student members of the Middle Temple being called to the degree of the utter bar, you have declared that for so long as you remain a barrister, you will use your knowledge and skills in keeping with the principles and ethics of the profession. You will uphold the rule of law, and in doing so, you will comply with the Code of Conduct of England and Wales and the core duties. You've also accepted the obligation to follow the regulations of the profession and to undertake continual improvement of your professional knowledge and competence. Master Treasurer, it's my duty and privilege as Master Reader to introduce to you those students of this honourable and learned society whose proposals for call to the degree of the utter bar have been authorised by Parliament. When they've been called by you, they will, after the ancient manner, enter their names at the cupboard in the book containing the roll of the barristers of this inn. Master Treasurer, I introduce Katie Logan Brooks.
Ms. Brooks, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Yugantiri Nayani Segar.
Ms. Sagar, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Jamila Akhtar.
Ms. Akhtar, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Paul John Lycett.
Mr. Lycett, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Chetan Sharma Rupear.
Mr. Rupear, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Arjun Sharma.
Mr. Sharma, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Jamie Matthew Turpin, who is attending remotely.
Mr. Turpin, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Momo Tan.
Ms. Tan, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Alexis Karakanis.
Mr. Karakanis, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Xiu Yan Hua.
Ms. Shou, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Ho Yin Lee.
Mr. Lee, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Shirakana Gunidri.
Ms. Gunidri, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Henry William Johnson Chitham Mosley.
Mr. Chitham Mosley, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Melvin Manika Vasagam Vive Kanandan, who is attending remotely.
Mr. Viva Kanandan, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Shum Kwok King.
Mr. Shum, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Rebecca Elizabeth Moon.
Ms. Moon, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Wade C. Lim.
Mr. Lim, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Clarissa Ho Ka Yan.
Ms. Ho, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Yin Shin Lim.
Ms. Lim, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Laura Naomi Bramall.
Ms. Bramall, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Megan Brooke Hodgson.
Ms. Hodgson, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, introduce Rui Earn Lim.
Miss Lim, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Susan Ore Olowa Yamizi Odulehe.
Miss Odulehe, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Ye Yi Chong, who is attending remotely.
Miss Chong, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Intan Farizah Binti Tajuddin.
Ms. Tajuddin, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Monisha Nunlol.
Mrs. Nundlal, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Chun Fong Lau, who is attending remotely.
Miss Lau, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce David Alexander Horvat Franco.
Mr. Horvat Franco, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Benjamin Thomas Pilling.
Mr. Pilling, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Gary Sean Shields.
Mr. Shields, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Fu Ying Yuan.
Mr. Fu, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Natalie Tan Jia Ji.
Ms. Tan, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Hale Chong Yi Hong, who is attending remotely.
Ms. Chong, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Noor Amani Shokrina Mohammed Noor Amin.
Ms. Mohammed Noor Amin, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Liu Yan Ni.
Ms. Liu, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Yogindra Krishnan Ramji.
Mr. Ramji, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Lok Wei Lun.
Mr. Lok, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Mohammed Jibrani Hisound.
Mr. Hisond, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Grace Ling Ying Shin.
Ms. Ling, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Trisha May Yan Ho.
Miss Ho, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Deepshika Natu.
Miss Natu, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Esther Yeep Tong Earn.
Miss Yeep, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, introduce Shireen Kaur Sidhu.
Miss Sidhu, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Ryan Vincent Matthews Cross.
Mr. Cross, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Sherwin Natan.
Miss Natan, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Megan Rose Carlisle.
Miss Carlisle, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Vanjit Kalai Yarasan.
Miss Kalai Arasan, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Ellen Kathleen Keogh.
Miss Keogh, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Ramashini G. Subramaniam.
Ms. G. Subramaniam, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Mohammed Amjad Shah bin Naushad.
Mr. bin Naushad, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Joseph Wong Ming Kang.
Mr. Wong, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Loy Kar Shoon.
Mr. Loy, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Felicia Lim Shin Yi.
Ms. Lim, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Chen Guo Au.
Ms. Au, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce David William Nixon.
Mr. Nixon, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Master Treasurer, I introduce Charlie Carey Richard Smith.
Mr. Smith, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Ying Huan Ko.
Ms. Koo, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Teo Shin Ning.
Ms. Teo, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Jeremy Yan Kai Yang, who is attending remotely.
Mr. Yan, on behalf of everyone at the Inn, may I just say how sorry we are that you have been thwarted in your travel between Malaysia and London. And we're very glad that we've been able to organise an online call for you. In the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Ka Hui Tan.
Ms. Tan, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Amanda Sari, Pamana Binti Mohammed Kevin Jabbar.
Ms. Mohammed Kevin Jabbar, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Mohammed Ashman bin Azidi.
Mr. Azidi, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations.
Master Treasurer, I introduce Esme Charlotte Leela Blackburn Mukherjee.
Ms. Mukherjee, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar. Congratulations. It's at this moment of the ceremony that the last ones round are regretting wearing high heels. But we know, here comes Miss Mukherjee. They're not high heels at all. They're clearly very fast running shoes. So now that all the new barristers are in place, before we do anything else, let's have a huge round of applause for our new barristers. Well done. You've made it. You're in your wigs and gowns. And if I may say so, you look very fine indeed. In fact, you look fabulous. Well done. You've worked very hard. You've worried. You've lost sleep. You've borrowed money. You've worked harder. And now here you are at the beginning of your careers in the law. How good does that feel? Some of you will have achieved this with hardly any help. And if you have, I salute you. Most of you have had the good fortune to have support and love from all sorts of people. Teachers, parents, carers, in-staff, sisters and brothers, uncles, aunts, families. Many of them are here today, and it's absolutely clear that they are all bursting with pride. So this is the time for you and the Inn to say a huge thank you to all of them, whether they're here or not. They've supported you through every worry, every difficulty, and some will have made real sacrifices to help you to get to this point. Now it's their time to celebrate, and it's time for me to thank them on your behalf and on behalf of the Inn. But I think it will be even better for you to thank them right now with 3 cheers. So let's go. Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! And let's follow that with another massive round of applause from us. So thank you to all of you. So you're now barrister members of the Inn. You've all heard something, I'm sure, from the Under-Treasurer about the Inn's history, the first performance of Twelfth Night. I always have to repeat that because it's so cool to be standing here exactly where Shakespeare stood, and all of us could be in the audience. It's amazing. The visit of Queen Elizabeth I when she arrived unannounced and found the student barristers having a moot and getting all tongue-tied because the Queen had turned up unannounced. The reason we know about these events is because they've been recorded in the diaries of student members of the Inn. So remember, don't get rid of your diaries. I know from my own experience 43 years ago that the new barristers actually won't be taking much in at the moment. It's all too exciting and sometimes a bit overwhelming. But for those of you who are interested in the history of the Inn, and it is extraordinarily interesting, just Google Middle Temple. You'll be taken to the website. There's a virtual tour, there's loads of information, masses of history. And I find it a rich source of endless education and also of entertainment. There's a lot to read in there and to watch. As to entertainment, you'll know that the Inn is often used for TV and films. And as you wander around later on this lovely sunny day, you may want to see if you can spot where the following were filmed: Pirates of the Caribbean, Shakespeare in Love, Bridget Jones' Baby, Mary Poppins Returns, A Christmas Carol. This one I didn't know, actually. I know it now. Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation. That's an outdoor one, so it's a bit harder to find. And of course, in Temple Church, the Da Vinci Code. If you can't find them, the answers are on our website. So after that light relief, I'd like to take you back to some of the words which were said by Master Reader at the beginning of the ceremony, just before you were called to the bar. It began, student members of the Middle Temple, and then it continued, you have declared that for as long as you remain a barrister, you will use your knowledge and skills in keeping with the principles and ethics of the profession, uphold the rule of law, and in doing so, comply with the code of conduct and core duties of the Bar of England and Wales. Just think about what those words actually mean. Your professional life must be governed by the principles and ethics of the profession. That means you have to do what is right, whatever the pressures from your client or your opponent or anybody else for that matter. You must always act with integrity, and you've promised to uphold the rule of law. That is a very big commitment. And it's one to which you are equal. It's important that you are. Look across the world, we are in troubled times, and to uphold the rule of law is to maintain the fundamentals of our democracies. It's a big responsibility, and it's on your shoulders. And the reason you are equal to it, or one of the reasons you are equal to this challenge, is in very large part because you are Middle Templars, now barrister members of the Inn. Think of the hundreds and indeed thousands of distinguished lawyers who were called to the bar in this room. They are the history of the inn, the history that's gone by. And you are now part of the history of this great institution, and your name will be in our records forever. Just think about that when times are testing. A review of the archive online will tell you about the brilliant lawyers who have preceded you. I'm going to mention some of them who are part of the inn right now. First of all, Master Reader, Lord Mance, a member of the Supreme Court until his recent retirement. How very privileged all of us are in Middle Temple that he is the reader of this inn for the first part of 2025. And then current members of the Supreme Court from Middle Temple, Lord Lloyd Jones, the treasurer of this inn in 2023, Lord Leggett, a Middle Templar, Lord Hodge, who will be the treasurer of this inn in 2026, Lord Burrows, all brilliant lawyers, and there are barristers, cases, judges, hundreds of them, all Middle Templars. And amongst those of you who are being called to the bar in March 2025 will be some of our most brilliant future lawyers. Some of you will go to the bar in other countries where I hope you will flourish. For those who intend to practice in this jurisdiction, the search for pupillage has begun. And some of you may already have secured a pupillage. If you have, well done and good luck. It's not unusual these days for a pupillage to be secured at the second or third time of asking. Good luck to all of you, and to those who intend to go into employed practice with the CPS or law firms or businesses or something else altogether, where the skills that you've learned during this time in this inn will stand you in good stead. I'm a judge of the Court of Appeal and the treasurer of the inn for 2025. It's rather like being a chairman of a company. Sir Christopher Geeker, from whom you've heard, is the under-treasurer. He's the chief executive running the inn with his staff. You'll also recognize, to my right, Krista Richmond, who directs education, and all her staff, who you know have worked tirelessly to make sure that you receive an education from the inn, which is second to none. Lectures, advocacy training, moot competitions, and so on. And every treasurer to whom I've spoken over the years has said to me that one of the most enjoyable parts of being the treasurer is the interaction with students and then presiding over their call to the bar. This is now the second time I have done this. The first time was yesterday. Second time I've presided over such a ceremony, and I agree with them. It's a wonderful thing to be a part of. And standing here looking at you makes me feel a little nostalgic. How wonderful to be right at the start of your career with your whole professional life ahead of you. I don't remember my call day very clearly. My mother, age 91, remembers it very clearly. And I suspect the same may be true for you. I'll just mention one thing from my own personal history. I was called to the bar in 1982. Just think about that time. Mobile phones hadn't been invented, neither had laptops. It was before the internet existed. And I think probably for you, it's impossible to imagine such a time, as it would have been for me as a 24-year-old, impossible to imagine what lay ahead 43 years later. And yet, as I stand in this hall, there is something about me which is exactly the same as it was in 1982. And it's this necklace. It was given to me on the day I was called to the bar. And I've worn it nearly every day since then. And I worked out that means I've fastened it over 15,000 times and unfastened it another 15,000 times. And so each time, very fleetingly, even without noticing, I mark the day that I was called to the bar. And I've worked out that I've done that motion more than 30,000 times. It's an unusual way of remembering the first day, your first day at the bar, but that's mine. And there are many ways now, of course, to preserve memories, particularly in photographs. Make sure you do. This is the beginning of the most exciting period of your professional lives. So you go on to the next stage with the good wishes of all of us in this inn, all of us who've gone before you. And we all hope that you'll remember this day for the rest of your lives, or at least some of it. For now, it's time to celebrate. And may I suggest that we mark the end of this ceremony with another massive congratulatory round of applause from everyone to everyone else. So that concludes the formal part of the ceremony, or it will once the benchers have left the room.
Ladies and gentlemen, as Master Treasurer said, this concludes the formal part of the ceremony. Let's party. See you backstage over a glass of something. Congratulations.